Hey gang, I got an offer for you today from LinkedIn. As business to business marketers, your needs are unique. B2B buying cycles are long and your customers face incredibly complex decisions. Isn't it time you had a marketing platform built specifically for you? LinkedIn ads empower marketers with solutions for you and your customers. LinkedIn ads allow you to build the right relationships, drive results, and reach your customers in a respectful environment. On LinkedIn, you have direct access to build relationships with decision makers. Of the 875 million users on the network, 180 million are senior level executives. 10 million are C-level executives. You will also be able to drive results with targeting and measuring with their tools built specifically for B2B. And best of all, they work. Audiences exposed to brand messages on LinkedIn are 6 times more likely to convert. LinkedIn ads also rank #1 for security, community, and ad experience as part of the Business Insider's Digital Trust Study. Make B2B marketing everything it can be and get a $100 credit. It's a $100 credit on your next campaign. Go to linkedin.com/MPN to claim your credit. It's linkedin.com/MPN. Terms and conditions apply. Hey, everybody. I want to thank our sponsor for this season, SEMrush. SEMrush is an SEO tool that I use for my clients and I absolutely adore. It not only helps me audit the site to find out what's wrong or what needs to be improved on my clients' sites from an SEO standpoint, but it also helps me to keep track of the keywords and key phrases we're going after, where they rank in Google and Bing. They have their own index that you can put parallel to Google's index. It is an incredible tool. If you go to our show notes for each episode, there is a link. If you click on it, it just tells them that we sent you, and you can try their tool out for free. I think it's for 7 days right now, and it is an incredible tool. It is well worth the money. It's actually not that bad when you think about the quality and the amount of value you're going to get from this tool. Check it out. Go to our show notes, and hope you enjoy the show. This is Entrepreneur's Enigma. I'm Seth Goldstein. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I'm your slightly sinusy host, Seth Goldstein. When this comes out, hopefully I will not have a sinus issue anymore, but right now I sound like I'm in an airplane. So I do apologize for the audio of my voice, but it's not much better anyhow. So I am here today with Zave Smith of xbound.us. He's also the creative director over at Exhilarate, or the
I am
chief
the
bottle washer?
co-founder of Exhilarate and the head photographer at Zave Smith Photography.
Well, I would hope you're the head photographer when it's named after you, so that'd be a good thing. But yeah,
Rather than being the photographer without a head at Zave Smith Photography.
the photographer with that head. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, exactly. So Zave, tell us a little bit about you. How did you find your way into just the entrepreneurial life?
I've always been self-employed because I'm basically unemployable because I don't follow directions very well. So, last
Yeah.
time I had a job was 1988, I think. So 32 years ago, I started Zave Smith Photography, and I did that. And still it's ongoing, doing commercial photography, lifestyle, and portrait photography for advertising. About 5 years ago, I merged my photo business with a friend of mine's graphic design business, and we started Exhilarate, which is a brand design agency, brought in a third partner, and we basically help companies, grow through brand design and engaging brand experiences. My role within Exhilarate is basically I'm a co-founder. I help with business strategy. I handle the bookkeeping stuff, and I did all the photography and video. And of course, under COVID, photography and video did the Disappearing Act. So I had a little time in my
Yes.
hand.
Mm-hmm.
But right before COVID hit, I had this idea for Xbound was rattling through my brain, and COVID basically gave me the time to explore it.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea came from basically watching four trends. One trend, which I've always known, is how hard it is. I've witnessed this a zillion times. How hard it is for anyone over 50, if they get laid off, downsized, booted, to get back in the job market. It's
Mm-hmm.
always hard. Number two, there is a amazing, huge number of people retiring now in the United States. It's over 10,000 people a day. And
Wow.
traditionally, Traditionally, 40% of them will return to the workforce. 3, I saw a lot of my friends who are retiring, people who are much older than me. And I saw them retiring, and I saw these people with just tremendous business savvy and knowledge and technical knowledge and wisdom. And they didn't really want to retire, but they just couldn't do the 50-hour work week, or they didn't want to do the 50-hour work week. Oh, great. I got lunch on my shirt. Um, I'll do the rest of it like this.
There you go. Yeah.
The 50-hour work week that they have been doing for, 30, 40, 50 years, depending on the person. But if they could find a way to remain engaged in the workplace, on maybe on a part-time or project basis, they would love it, or as a volunteer.
Keep their minds young.
Keep engaged, because not everybody wants to go to Florida and play shuffleboard and bitch about what the government's doing
Exactly.
or
So
the taxes. So the other trend was, being a guy who has spent 30 years poking my nose into other people's businesses, either as a photographer or running Exhilarate. I've noticed a lot of companies, especially newer companies that are entrepreneurial, just reinventing the wheel all the time. You get someone who has a new way of making a poker chip, but they have the great method, but they know nothing about procurement, they know nothing about logistics, they know nothing about finance, they know nothing about human resources. And like what a lot of companies do is they sit and hack it, and it takes them 5, 8 years to figure it out. But if they could bring in a couple people on a project basis or part-time basis or even a full-time basis who have done that for a long time, they could really accelerate their growth.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So it was those 4 trends that were rattling in this little brain of mine, and that's what it came up with Xbound. And then once COVID hit, I thought, I got some time. I
Yeah.
actually know people who can do this. Like I can't do it. I can't design a website. I know nothing about product. I know nothing about startup, but I know people who do. Because
Yeah.
30 years of building a network of people who are a lot smarter than I am, I could ask people. And so about a year and a half ago, I started really focusing on Xbound.
How's it going so far for you?
Not bad. We launched about 5, 6 weeks ago. We're
Oh,
getting
it's
some
relatively new
traction.
launch.
It's
Wow.
we're this baby hasn't even gone home from the hospital yet.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so we've got some traction, we got some jobs, we've got some users. We are learning from how people are using the site. In fact, we're already going into a facelift of the homepage based on user experience and feedback. We're doing some additional market research. We're raising some money. We're entering a pre-seed fundraising blitz.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah.
Because
It's such a great idea.
well, thank you.
I mean, because I know a lot of people. I know my mom when she retired, she was like, "Now what?" Then she became a docent, and I mean, she's busier now. I think, well, not now. Now she's kind of starting to relax a little bit more. But when she first was retired, she was busier retired than she was working. Great.
Dad, one time calling him and said, "Dad, how's retirement going?" He says, "I'm so busy, I don't know how I ever had time to work."
That's amazing. It's amazing.
And
And
like
it's
my wife,
good.
who retired in June,
Yeah.
right before she retired, there was a resignation on our local school board. My wife's 41-year career in education. Um, the school board reached out to her, appointed her to be on the board. And
Oh,
then
wow.
she found out she actually has to run for that seat. So right
Oh,
now,
jeez.
she's not only on the school board, but she's learning the ins and outs of local politics. She's
Oh, that's
campaigning.
always fun. Yeah, that's a fun time. Yeah.
Well, go to door and say, "Hey, I'm running for office." But she's going to be great. I mean, she's learning a ton, keeping engaged, and she's going to be. I mean, how many school board members have worked in education for 40 years in all different aspects and all different school
No.
systems? She's going to
It's
be fantastic.
needed. It is needed, and we'll leave it at that. But we need more educators in the school board to say, "Hey, knuckleheads, this is what we need for our kids."
Right.
And it's so needed. And we'll leave it at that because it's a hot button issue for me as well, being a father of an 8-year-old who's in the Central Bucks School District. And don't get me started with that. When you make the news, something's up. So then we'll leave it at that. Anyhow, so what is the hard since you've been doing entrepreneurial stuff since 88, what is the hardest thing you say to people about being an entrepreneur? Like what's like the hardest thing?
I think there's two things. Number one is, what's the company? I sit through and I hear 2 to 4 pitches a week from various companies during various networking events I go to. And it comes down to 4 factors to start a company. The first one is, what's the problem that's out there, and is it worth solving? 2, do you have a solution to that problem? 3, is your solution valuable enough that people are going to pay for it?
That's a
Can you
big one.
monetize that solution? And 4, do you have a team, or can you actually execute on your vision? So that's the first thing you have to think about. Is there a problem? Is there a solution? Can you monetize that solution? And can you execute on your vision? The next thing is I always tell a story about years and years ago. I went to a SCORE event, how to start your own company, back in when I was living in Milwaukee. And I remember these guys getting up on the stage, and there was probably 100 people in the audience, if my memory serves me well. And these guys got up there and they started talking about, if you want to start your own company, you need to have a business plan. And then you need to have an accountant. And then you need to have a lawyer. And then you got to make sure you have the right accountant. And then you need to make sure you got the right lawyer. They went on and on and on. And I'm sitting in the audience going, no, what you need is a client who's going to pay you.
Yeah.
And then you need another client who's going to pay you. And when you get about 10 or 20 of those, depending what kind of business you're in, then you can worry about the rest. But the most important thing, is there a client out there who's willing to pay you for the solution you're bringing to the table?
Yeah, there has to be some validity to your idea first.
Yeah.
Before you hire all these people, make sure that you can do it.
Yeah, and I see that as a weakness. People have these wonderful things they want to save the world. You got this, mental health app, or this fitness app, or whatever app it might be. But unless you actually can get people to pay you for it, if there's not a road to monetization, then it's not a business. It could be a great charity, but it's not a business.
Absolutely. So on the flip side, what's the best thing you found being an entrepreneur? What's like the best thing that comes from it for you?
Well, a couple things. At least back in the photo business, I always felt when it's good, there's nothing better. And when it's bad, it's nothing worse, because you have no one to blame but yourself. So it's a real roller coaster. So unless you like to ride roller coasters without a seatbelt, entrepreneurship is probably not for you. The thing I'm finding about startups, which is very different than the photography business, photographers basically hate each other, because they're all scrambling for a very small pie that has been slowly shrinking for the last 20 years. So it's Game of Thrones or Hunger Games, whatever TV metaphor might work for you.
Yeah.
Startup community, at least in Philly, is incredibly supportive. I mean, I'm an odd guy out. Most, when you think of the average entrepreneur startup, they're about 20 years old. They came out of Stanford. They have 45 degrees. They have an IQ of about 250,000. I meet none of those categories, and yet I've been taken very seriously, and I've gotten tremendous support in the startup community through the various forums I go on. And if it wasn't for that support and knowledge I've gained and free advice people have given me, I'd be nowhere.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And that's one thing I love about the Philadelphia startup community is that, now we're 28th in the world. As of, I think, last week or week ago, there's a whole study that was put out. I forget, by Startup Genome. And
I think I saw that, yeah.
Yeah, and we're 13th in North America, which I'm very impressed by. That our little city, the community itself, has really grown in the 13 years that I've been in the web design startup, whatever you want to call this nuttiness I'm in.
Well,
And
I think
it's great.
We're really strong in the biosciences. I see a lot of bioscience startups because, we have such great medical institutions and universities. It's not as strong in the consumer-based stuff and some of the other ones because, it's not where people are coming from, though it's getting stronger. And next year, Expo will help put Philadelphia on the world map.
Exactly. That's what you have to do. And I really do think life sciences is a big part of it.
Life sciences save lives,
Exactly.
So
we are in the pharma capital of the world. So.
Yeah. People ask me what I like to shoot when I do photography, and my pithy answer has always been drugs and money, because in Philadelphia, who do I shoot for? Financials or pharmaceuticals, or good 70% of my clientele.
Absolutely. That's so true. So you just launched Xbound, and literally it's coming home from the hospital, as you would say, tomorrow, let's say.
We
And
haven't had the circumcision yet. There's no rabbi yet.
Oy, 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 oy. But
What
yeah,
business
definitely.
podcast is going to have a moil joke, huh?
Hey, you have to. When you get two Jewish guys on here, what do you expect? But yeah, definitely. So where can people find you? Obviously, xbound.us. But where's the best place?
Xbound.us. And
Where's the
honestly,
best place to find you and interact with you online?
Listen, with my name, you Google Zave Smith, you find Zave Smith. I'm the only one in the country.
Actually, I was looking for your headshot. There's a younger Zave Smith out there now.
There's one guy in Ohio who's,
Yeah.
I think, in college now.
Yeah, and
I
he's
think
one
he's
picture ahead
studying
of you.
chemistry, but I'm not sure. But yes, there is one guy in Ohio.
It's very funny.
You'll find me. I'm on LinkedIn, Xbound, Exhilarate, or ZaveSmith.com if you want to look at some of my pictures. I've been also getting some pretty good PR lately. So Philly Metro newspaper did a big article about Xbound.
Oh, really?
About 4 weeks ago.
The Business Journal did one on you too.
That was 2 weeks ago. And I think the biggest PR push, and what I'm going to get the best buzz from, is this podcast.
Oh, I hope so. Absolutely. I want to share all over the place, my friend. But definitely, yes. So Zave, thank you so much for coming on. Check him out, xbound.us. And if you're loving this show and you want to write us a review in the podcast directory of your choice, we would love that. The more reviews means the more people subscribe or listen to, or whatever adjective you want to use. And if you want to find the show, go to entrepreneursenigma.com. It really just brings you over to the Goldstein Media site, and you can subscribe with all the buttons over there. So say this has been fantastic. I wish you all nothing but success.
Thank you, Seth.
Oh, it's
been a pleasure getting to know you.
Yeah, it's been fun. Absolutely. And we'll see you guys next week.
That was a great show. Hey, if you're enjoying Entrepreneurs Enigma, please give us a review on the podcast directory of your choice. We're on all of them. And these reviews really help others find the show. Also, if you're getting value from the show and want to buy me a coffee, go to the show notes and click on the link to help me stay awake while I bring you more great episodes to your ears. That's in the show notes, and I look forward to the next episode. Take care, guys.
You may know you're listening to this show along the Marketing Podcast Network, but did you know there are other great shows on MPN to help your business too? Caroline Kay hosts a great podcast called Snippets of Genius. Caroline, tell us what these folks will get out of listening.
Snippets of Genius is a lighthearted business podcast with some brilliant insights into how you can attract and cultivate success. In each episode, I have an inspiring conversation with genius guests from the worlds of business development, marketing, design, and wellness. Each of them share their ballsy, daring moves to burst business opportunities wide open. Every episode is designed to give you as much value as possible so you can decide, define, and develop anything you want in your career or business.
Hard to turn that down. Where can people subscribe?
They can come on over to my website, which is www.carolinekay.co/podcast, or find the show at marketingpodcast.net, or search for Snippets of Genius wherever you get your podcasts.
You heard her. Go subscribe.
This podcast is heard along the Marketing Podcast Network. For more great marketing podcasts, visit marketingpodcasts.net.